my friends, come on in. If you are brave enough, please turn on your cameras so we can see you. We are recording this session. There's a little side note there. We are recording this session because it will be on in the Behaviour Bank and online for you to look back over and check in with as we go through. So we will try not to get anyone else's face in other than the person that's speaking. So you are safe to turn on your cameras. But if you don't have your camera, can you just give us a hi or a wave in the chat so that we know you're here and with us? Let's get my chat box back up. I'll put it away. Hello! Hello, my friends. There you are. We see you in the chat box. Okay, fab. We are up and running. Can everyone hear me? Give us a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs down if you can't. Got a yes and an exclamation mark. You're bringing the energy. I can feel it through the chat already. Love that. Okay. Now, we do know that it is like 8 p.m. on a Monday morning. You've all had a really busy day. So we are hopefully going to bring you a lot of love and a lot of joy this evening. We're going to share some really useful, helpful stuff that you can maximize your success with as you go through your week. So as we get started, we've got a few more people that are signed on but aren't quite here yet. I will just let people join as they arrive. And we are going to get straight in with the wonderful, wonderful Ruth. I'm going to introduce.
Hello, good evening.
And Ruth, you're our ECT coach and mentor over in the Behaviour Bank. So I'm so pleased. I've got so much love for Ruth to have you join with me today to put together this gorgeous webinar for all of the wonderful ECTs that are joining and that are already part of the Behaviour Bank. Because this evening, it's all about setting up for success, isn't it, my friend?
That is certainly true. It's all about hitting the road running and getting yourself set up to have a really smooth ECT year, but also to experience success during that year as well, and making it sustainable and easy for yourself so you prevent that feeling of overwhelmed and you prevent that feeling of being burnt out too.
Yes, yeah, we do not want that. We do not want either of that. And whether you're an ECT or whether you've been teaching for decades, this is something that we all can experience at different times of the journey. So we want to make sure that we feel refreshed and ready to rock on a daily basis. And that is exactly what we're going to be looking at today. So I would love it if you could go all in with us this evening. You might be thinking, oh my goodness, what does that mean? But don't worry. If you've ever joined one of my trainings before, you might be a little bit terrified at this thought of going all in, because I do get people doing some weird and wonderful things. However, due to some technical difficulties this morning, some of the things I would get you doing normally, we're not going to do. So you can have a big sigh of relief from behind your screen. You're welcome. But what I am going to ask you to do is go all in with the chat box. I can see that some of you have already used it. So put your hands in the air. Don't worry, no one can see you. Put your hands in your air, stretch your arms out for me, and just put them on like the keyboard in front of you so you're ready to rock. Be ready with the questions and the thoughts and the sharing, because we are all about that here tonight. If you are not using your phone, then get rid of it. You're all ours for the next 30, 40, 50 minutes. We'll try and be as quick as we can, won't we, Ruth?
We certainly will, that's true.
And as always, with everything we do here within the Behaviour Bank, we will be asking your feedback. We would love to know how you found the session, what was useful, what was like not so useful, the good, the bad, the ugly. We want to hear from you because we want to make sure that everything we do is always the best it can possibly be. So please do share your thoughts. Please do let us know your thinking so that we can always make progress and move forwards. So are you ready to go all in, my friends? Can I get a yes in the chat? Because I know your hands hands are already there. I can feel them on the keyboards. Give us a yes. Yes, yes, yes. Are we ready? Oh, got one yes.
We've got one.
Keep it going. Keep it going, my friends. Keep those yeses coming. Oh, yes, there they go. We've got a sure as well. Like, yeah, all right, maybe. I'm almost there. I'm warming up. Okay. So let's explore what we are going to be covering today. Ruth, do you want to give us the map?
Yep. So in our session this evening, we are going to be looking over the three components of success. Now, these three things will add together to help you have that success during your years as an ECT. We're going to be covering some theory about mindset. We're going to be looking at our organisation too, and then how that we make some actions moving forward from that to help us navigate those years smoothly. So those are going to be the three main components of this evening's webinar.
Fab. So from there, we're going to start thinking about having a bit of success, and every success starts with us. Okay, it starts with you as a grown-up, whether it's success in your personal life or whether it's success in your classroom, it all starts with you. So we're going to have a look at three elements to your success, and this is one of my favorite parts of every training that we deliver, because these are the core principles that all of our behavior balance system is built on. All the resources in the behavior bank are based on this, and it really is so simple. Shift your physiology. Oh, hold on. Wait, Ruth, we've changed the wording on the stepping stones. And I hadn't noticed that you've done this. Oh, okay. I'm gonna rewind on this, and I'm going to introduce our core principles, and then we can look at your stepping stones that you've put here. Because with our core principles, we have three things. And Ruth, I don't know if I've shared these three things with you other than kind of just in chat. But our three things are: shift your physiology, change your belief system, and then look at your communication and be effective with it. Okay, so these are the three things. So please do, you can take one hand off of the keyboard and write that down: physiology, beliefs, and communication. They're really, really important parts of every single element of success, whether it is in home or in school. So when you're thinking about setting yourself up for success, have those three things in mind. We always want to shift our physiology first, because it's the fastest way to shift our emotional state. And that is where all the work begins. However, Ruth, my friend, you have your own three stepping stones here. Do you want to share yours?
Yeah, so we've chosen these ones for stepping stones to success as an ECT, because actually they all work together, and your mindset underpins everything that you do. You know, your attitude, your outlook, the way you perform, and the way you show up on a day-to-day basis. But actually, from that mindset, it's the way we organize ourselves in terms of our work life and our home life too. Again, so that's building on that stepping stone. And then the next one is the actions, because your actions are formed from your mindset, and also the way in which you organize yourself as well. So actually, when we're talking about our success as an ECT, those are the three stepping stones that actually we need to make sure that we're completing to be successful in our ECT years.
Love that. I love that. Okay, so now we have got our stepping stones to success in place. Let's delve in to the first one. Now, everything we do is driven by an emotion, okay, and how we are feeling. So whether we are organized or whether we are feeling a little bit unorganized will have an impact on how we feel. So where are you at the moment, my friends? Can you pick a number? You've got a few to choose from. Are you up on a high today following your Monday, up on a 20? Or are you kind of down the other end, feeling a little bit low, like you need a recharge? Where are you? Just pop into the chat your number. Oh, we've got a 15.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, good. Like it. Okay. We've got straight out of the gate on a 15. What about the rest of you? We've got an 11, 15. Ruth, where are you?
An 8.
An 8? Okay, thank you, Charlotte.
I would say I'm probably about a solid 14.
Solid 14 for you. Okay.
I am today.
Nice. Well, I have to be completely honest. Oh, a 4 and a 5. I am with you, my friend. I have a poorly 4-year-old at home. And so yeah, our energy level was running a little bit low today. But now I'm here, I'm feeling a little a little bit more energized than I was before. Oh, okay, a 6. Great. So we've got a big range. Oh, we've got a 10. They're coming in. They're coming in hot. So we've got a 10, we've got a 6, we've got a 4, 5. We've got a whole range of batteries on the go at the moment. And I think this is probably one of the first steps to success is to know where you are, right, Ruth? Just to kind of know what your starting point is, know where you're moving on from. So if you haven't, just keep that number written down somewhere because we want to kind of track what we measure, we can make progress in. So we want to kind of see where you end up throughout the day. Now, one of my stepping stones, not Ruth's, but one of my stepping stones is physiology. One of the core principles is physiology first. So before we get into it, particularly if you are at the lower end of energy, I just want you to give yourself a little stretch, a little movement. It might be that you want to kind of shake it out, whatever works for you. Give yourself a little stretch. I always really like the chair twist. I don't know, what's your favourite movement from like sitting, Ruth? What do you like?
Oh, it depends. It depends completely what I'm doing. So I think I'm going to go with a shoulder shrug, actually.
What, shoulder shrug or a shimmy?
Yeah, shimmy, shimmy.
Shimmy, shimmy, yeah. Okay, so give yourself a little stretch. Get your physiology changed. If you feel like you're sitting like a 4 or a 3, you know, kind of like this, then give yourself a sitting position of a 20. Okay, we'll fake it till we make it. We'll work on that physiology first, and then we will be ready to start working on our mindset. So let's delve in to the first of Ruth's gorgeous step by steps.
Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is mindset, and you'll notice actually on the next two as well. Underneath they've got the same three keywords: focus, determined, and confident. Because actually, in everything that we do, we need to have that focus. We need to be determined, and we need to be confident. Even if we're not confident to begin with, we need to develop that as we move along. And hopefully, as you work through this webinar, you'll see that actually your confidence comes from within, and everything that you do, even when you have maybe some failures in terms of things don't go the way that you want them to do, but the way you grow from that and the way you move and learn from that will breed your confidence. So as we go through, you'll see that those three words are integral to your development and your success as an ECT. So when we're talking about mindset, it's all about how we grow and how we develop, how we adapt to different situations inside the classroom, different things that are thrown at us. It's all about building that confidence. And then from that, we're creating resilience to move ourselves forward in our journey. We talk about fostering successful relationships, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom too. And then also our mindset that we have and that we develop along the way looks at reducing overwhelm and preventing burnout too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you, if you are a Behaviour Bank member, you will find support for all of these things in the vaults. So you'll notice at the bottom of the screen here, you've got a range of different vaults. You've got 4 to choose from, but a lot of the support around mindset you will find in the you section, because every change, every balance, and every success starts with you first. So have a think as we move forwards about how these things can really be put into practice and how you can start to build on these areas.
So when we're talking about mindset and we look at growth and development, we need to view our ECT years as a continuous learning journey. You know, we're not expected to know everything straight away. And often as ECTs, we put so much pressure on ourselves to know everything straight away. And we make the comparisons with teachers who are more established. They've got more years under their belts. You know, and comparison culture is one of the biggest things that really has a negative impact and a negative effect on our well-being and our mindset as an ECT. So be confident as you move through your journey that actually you are at the start and you can grow and you can develop and take things in your stride. As you move through, you will have lots and lots of successes inside the classroom. There will be things that you do really well and you'll walk out of the classroom feeling like $1,000,000. There will also be things that you do, you know, during your lessons and during your activities that don't go so well, that don't have the impact that you want, and you can feel leaving deflated. Don't. Flip it. What would you do differently next time? How can I grow from that? How can I move and develop from that? Everything that you do is a learning journey, and everything you do will underpin your future skill set as a teacher too. So don't be afraid of trial and error. Failure isn't a negative experience. If some
First
activities,
attempt in learning.
yeah, definitely. We learn so much through that, and we always talk
Yeah.
about providing children with experiences to fail, so that actually they can deal with those emotions and they've got the skill set to overcome them next time. It's exactly the same for us too. So on the days where you don't have such a good day, or where you do have a negative thing, or there's a challenge in there, use it to your advantage for the next time that situation arises. So during your ECT years, really be mindful of your reaction to failure. Spin it, flip it, and use it as a growth tool, and use it as a vehicle to support your development in your skill set.
I love that. And you know, I've been a teacher for, oh gosh, or certainly in education for the best part of 20 years now, and I am still failing miserably in different areas and then growing wonderfully in others and
Yeah.
learning. And we talk about this as part of the ECT roadmap and supporting you as early careers teachers. But actually, the truth is, we are always learning and growing and developing within education. And it's a really exciting place to be,
Yeah.
able to kind of trial and error things because we get to model that to our children. And I think that this is one of the most powerful gifts we can give our children, is to get something wrong and to share the growth from that mistake. And we used to have a mantra in my classrooms all the time, and it was this, that if we get it wrong, we can make it right. And I used
Yeah,
to say this all
exactly.
the time. So I'm dyslexic, and I used to make spelling errors on the whiteboard when I was writing things out. And I would always say to the children, oh, if you spot a spelling error, my kids got really good at spelling because they'd love to spot the errors that I made. So they'd have the dictionary out and all sorts. And the fact that I got to practice that with my children meant that I knew I struggled with that, and that they knew that that was a struggle for me. So all the children that found spelling hard were like, yeah, it's okay because my teacher finds it hard too. But we would have strategies in place to overcome those challenges. And I think it's those strategies that we use as adults for ourselves that we get to gift our children. So I love that, the fact that, we are constantly able to use learning as that journey. I love that idea, Ruth. And also just kind of to add, that comparison really is the thief of fun, isn't it? Or the thief of joy. I can never remember what that phrase is.
It's
So
so dangerous.
it is. And we live in a world where it's so kind of normalized to compare ourselves with each
Yeah.
other, online, everywhere. So I really like that you hit on that, because I think when we're at the early stages of any development or any journey, it's so difficult not to compare yourself with the people that are further ahead in that journey.
Definitely.
Have you got any tips, Ruth? How do we avoid that?
I think it's being mindful, of the way that you conduct yourself online sometimes, like not in terms of like what you put out there, but what you take from it. We spend a lot of time on social media, don't we? And we get into the habit of doom scrolling, and Pinterest and Instagram. We look at all these lovely classrooms, we look at all these lovely activities that teachers have done, and I think it's being mindful that when we do look at that, sometimes that isn't the reality that's shown to us. So it's having that boundary up and that guard up too. But it's also about, celebrating your wins. And that's something that we'll touch on a later on slide. But it's about those positive trios, but it's about the routine embedded behind that too. So it's constantly reflecting on your practice and recognizing the things that you are doing well and celebrating them and sharing them with other people. It's all about building that mindset and that ethos and that confidence for you.
Love that. I love that. And if you are looking for more support on this, in the EU section, there is an ECT roadmap and there is support that you can access to navigate the challenges that we face when working with children. Because, they do say not to work with children and animals because they're
They
very
do.
unpredictable, these little humans, and the bigger ones.
I was just about to say, and the bigger ones. So
Absolutely.
Something else that we look at when we're talking about mindset is adaptability, because no 2 days are the same, no two lessons are the same, 2 hours can be completely different inside the classroom and things move at such a fast pace. So don't ever be afraid to be fluid in things that you are doing, to be flexible and to adapt to the situation that you're in as well. Now that might mean your teaching style. It might mean a new scheme that you're using. It might mean working alongside a different person. You might have a new year group partner or additional support put in. But whatever you do inside that classroom, please make sure that you are adaptable to change and don't always see change as a bad thing. I've listed those things on there. We have new curriculum, we have new initiatives coming into school all the time.
Mm.
Treat it as an opportunity to grow, treat it as an opportunity to develop your skill set. Change isn't always a bad thing. It can be quite scary and you can be quite resistant and hesitant at first, but give it a go and go with it and see what you can take from it too. We have different expectations and different lessons sometimes, and in different topics. What might be acceptable in one isn't, and if the benchmark changes as well, and the way of working and the way of teaching changes as well. So bear that in mind when you're planning your sessions out and you are looking at your activities, because actually teaching isn't a one size fits all approach. We need to make sure that we are adapting to the needs of the curriculum, to the needs of the activity, but more importantly, to the needs of ourselves and the children that we've got in our classroom, because their needs change all the time. Their needs can change throughout the day. So what you thought would work in the morning and you could take it through to the afternoon, sometimes there can be an issue at lunchtime that wipes out that, and you have to think on your feet. But don't be afraid to do that, and don't be afraid to deviate from the plan either, because you know the children best, you know your skill set best. So be confident in what you're doing, because I can guarantee that whatever you set out to do in that classroom, you will have the best interests of the children at heart.
I love that. And I think as well, being able to adapt it when you need it adapted is really important as well. If you've had something happen in the morning and suddenly you're faced with this lesson and you think, oh my goodness, I have not got the energy for that, or I have not got,
Yeah.
I haven't got the emotional capacity to run that session. I think having the confidence to say, actually, I'm going to do it in a different way is really important, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's not just about the learning that, is in front of them. It's also about the experience that we offer them. And sometimes we can have really fun, jam-packed activities, but if we haven't got the emotional capacity or the readiness within us to facilitate that lesson,
Yeah.
actually sometimes the lesson doesn't go to plan anyway. So it's really about kind of checking in with yourself before you start teaching, checking in with the
Yeah.
children. They might come in, as you said, kind of up here, or they might come in down here. You might need to work with their ebb and flow. When I talk about energy, sometimes I get a bit of an eye roll, but it really does make such a difference to
No,
the vibe of the classroom,
it does
and to their
completely,
value.
doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Was there anything else you wanted to share, Ruth?
Not on this
Ready to
one.
move on. Okay. Just as a side note here, for those of you who are members of the bank, we have got ways to support that ebb and flow over in the classroom kit. So if you're looking for ways that you can reconnect after your registration, or if you're looking for ways to start the day, morning routines are so important, and timeframes and sequences and things, they are all over in the classroom kit.
Okay, so we've touched on this partly already. So it's all about having that mindset that's going to support you in building your confidence throughout your ECT years. You know, we can easily shape our day by how we walk into that classroom in the morning. If we walk into the classroom in the morning and we're feeling a little bit apprehensive or a little bit negative, things could go wrong, because actually we're walking in with a negative energy straight away. So actually, when we get up and we're going into the classroom, we need to look for the opportunities that day will bring, the glimmers that we might see on that day, and all the impact and the progress that we are going to enable those children to have and to make during that day. So when we walk into the classroom with a can-do mindset, we're already setting ourselves up to have a good day. And also, when we walk in with that can-do attitude, when something goes wrong in that classroom, it makes it easy to cope with it because it's easy to reframe straight away. Because sometimes when we have a negative thought, it can snowball and we get in this vicious cycle. Then, oh, I've had a bad lesson, so it's going to be a bad day. And no, it doesn't need to be. A bad lesson does not shape your day. Park it and move on. So the more proactive our mindset is, the better we will be inside that classroom. And then from that feeling of self-belief, we're doing a good job, you're doing a good job, okay? And it's really easy for imposter syndrome to creep in at the beginning of your teacher career. Some of it's due to the comparison culture that we've already spoken about, but you've got to have that belief in yourself. And this is where that positive self-talk comes in. We need to get into the habit of celebrating our wins, of recognizing them, and then saying them out loud. Something that I'll talk about in a bit is positive trios, where at the end of the day, you just write down 3 positives, and on a Friday, you'll have 15 positives to read, and that's your success story for the week. But get into the habit of reading that aloud to your year group partner, or to, if you live at home with your mum and dad, read it to them, or your partner, or your
Yourself
sibling. Yeah,
out
but
loud to
yeah,
yourself.
and that's the next point, bestie to self, because actually you'd praise your partner. Like, Sam, if I saw you doing something really well, I'd say, well done. You've aced that today. I'm going to take that. But how often do you look at stuff and go, oh, I've smashed that. I can't believe the impact I've had that. And that's something that you need to normalize to help build that confidence as you move through your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I really love is a walk and talk, and I do this in the classroom as a strategy. We use this, but also for yourself. So even if you are going out on a walk at lunchtime, and something has gone well, or even if something has not gone well, having that process of saying something out loud is really, really important. And of course, for our stones of success, our stepping stones of success, physiology comes first. So if you can move and create a belief at the same time through communicating it to yourself, you're really going to help change your mindset and your emotional state. So if you have had a bit of a challenging lesson, and we're not talking about, a bad lesson, because actually there will be there's always lessons within a lesson. So
Yeah.
if you think about your lesson, it might not have gone to plan, but what did the children learn? What did you learn? What was the outcome of that lesson? It's not a bad lesson, it's just not a lesson that went to plan. But having the ideas of saying it out loud to yourself and giving yourself a bit of an on the go pep talk is really useful. I have a couple of teachers that work with us within schools, because we come into schools, and we get them to do a walk around the playground either after lunch with their class, or before lunch, or even during their own lunch break, and just have that talk with themselves, about what have they done so far in the day, what are they planning to do for the rest of the day, how are they going to make it happen. And 9 times out of 10, it really just boosts their own grr,
Yeah.
their own let's do this, their own motivation. So I think that this is such an important one. I wonder if maybe you guys could just write down something that you'd like to tell if you were to tell your bestie, your teacher bestie, what would it be, or something you would like to hear, because I think that would be a really powerful thing to take away from today.
But then as we're working, on our mindset, on being proactive and building confidence, we're also creating that resilience within ourselves. So we're creating that resilience that will make us stretch ourselves when looking at different learning opportunities, because we've already spoken about growth and development, and it's all right for trial and error to happen. It's all right to have, to experience failure, because we can grow from that. So the more opportunities we give ourselves to learn and to try new things, the better it will be, because we will be growing that tool of resilience, so that actually when we're faced with a challenge, when we have a bad section in a lesson, we can move on. We know how to deal with it, and that imposter syndrome won't creep in then, because actually we've equipped ourselves with the positive tools needed to take ourselves forward onto the next step. And the more experience we get, the more solution focused we become, because actually we'll be able to relay our experiences back to previous things that have gone on in the classroom, and remember, well, this has happened before and this is how I moved on from it. And they're key takeaways, because there's always room for development, but there's always room to draw back on previous experiences to help spur us on as well. And that, self-talk and looking at ourselves as our bestie, that links in with the can-do reflection, because actually when something doesn't go to plan, 5 minutes reflecting on it. It doesn't even need to be 5 minutes, but 2 minutes. I was really impressed with the way I did that. Actually, I think there's room for improvement there. What can I do next time? Oh, that's fine. So now I've got a plan. If it happens again, I'm going to be able to cope with it. So that can do reflection is really instrumental in building that mindset.
Absolutely. And the more you do it, we always say practice makes progress. The more you do it, the more naturally it fit, more naturally it's your go-to. To begin with, it might feel really uncomfortable, mightn't it, Ruth? Any kind of new belief
Yeah.
development can be really hard to start with. It can feel really uncomfortable and really unnatural, and you just kind of a bit clunky. But the more you do it, the more it becomes your brain's go-to, because our brain is a really predictive organ. So it will naturally go to those when you start compounding. So when you start thinking about what's gone well, what you'd work on, when you start building this into your routine, that compound of practice means that your brain will build a pathway, and it will become really easy as you go through your career to do this. It's certainly something, I don't know about you, Ruth, but it's certainly something I wish I had known more about when I started teaching, because
Yeah.
we are our own biggest critics.
I think there's becoming more support available for this, and we're becoming more open to talking about things like this now. Whereas I know when I started, 20 years ago, there was none of this, and I think I would have flourished earlier on, and I would have had a much smoother NQT year, because there would have been more
Yeah,
support
that's what it used to
available.
be.
Yeah, yeah, back in the day, yeah.
How old we are, Ruth. Shall we have a look at relationships?
Yeah. So one of the key things to help keep those in that mindset healthy and keep it focused and determined is the support that you draw on from other people during your ECT years. And you can see there, I've put that support network, collaborative working and professional networking. Your support network is so important, and it can be made up of lots of different people. It can be made up of people inside and outside of school. That's so important because you can get different perspectives then when you're talking about situations. You get different viewpoints and you get different solutions that come with that. So, really spend some time building that support network, family, friends, siblings, and then colleagues, people that you work with, people that you see. If you go to, your ECT updates, make those links, swap those WhatsApps or email addresses, but really draw in on them, because actually the more support that you have during your ECT years, the better. And you can also foster relationships during your ECT years that will last your teaching career. So really build on them, because
Beyond.
it will provide you with opportunities, A, to sound off, B, to run ideas past each other, C, to share successes, but also you can draw so much from them in terms of collaborative working too, so sharing the workload.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are a member of the bank, you do get access to our community, so you can do that there as well. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to share your highs and lows and kind of go through it together. If you have already started, then fantastic. If you haven't, then do check it out, because it really is so important. I know that, I mean, I'm still friends, even though I think only a couple of us are still in education, but I'm still friends with the other guys that I did my NQT year with, and we've kept that kind of WhatsApp group alive
Yeah.
all of these years. And I think, those relationships are so important, especially if you are working in the same school as well, if you've got other ECTs that you can connect with, because you're going through it together, you're sharing the same
Yeah.
environmental kind of challenges. And let's face it, there are lots of those in schools, all schools.
Certainly are.
Um, so I think this is such a big one. The people around us have such an important impact, and emotions are contagious. So if you're able to share a bit of enthusiasm and excitement with each other, as well as kind of the lows, you can really bring each other up in those times
Yeah.
that you most need it. And I always found that was such a useful tool to have, is just to kind of lean on each other.
And then all of those link together to help prevent that burnout, don't we? See so many ECTs leave early on in their teaching career, and we hear some like tales of, people working all the hours in the week, all the weekends, and they have no no time for themselves, their relationships suffer, their family life suffers, their mental and physical health suffers too. So we really need to, everything we've just covered in mindset, we need to use that now to prevent ourselves from becoming burnt out. And what you need to realize is that you are good enough, that positive self-talk, that self-reflection, that can-do attitude, that proactive mindset, that all builds in this picture that you are creating of yourself being good enough inside that classroom. And when we're talking about preventing burnout, we need to have boundaries that allow us to be ourselves outside of the classroom too. So we need to know where our cut-off point is. If we've got to do list, we know that not everything is always going to get done. And we need to be mindful of that, because we need to say, actually, I've worked 2 hours tonight, or that's just an example. I don't expect anybody to be working 2 hours, but that's my cut-off point now. I'm going to put that boundary in place, and this is my time, because that boundary and that expectation is so important, and your self-care is so important during your ECT years, because you must make time to switch off, to
And
relax,
beyond your
recharge.
ECT years.
Oh yeah, but so get those routines embedded early
Yes,
on. The longer you leave
absolutely.
it, it's harder to do, isn't it? We both know
It
it's
is.
really hard to do once you've got a few years under your belt. So get it in now while you can really make that habit embedded, and it'll become just a way of life. So the more effort you put into it now, the longer you will last in teaching, and the more you will enjoy it as well.
Absolutely. And again, we've got lots in the bank to help you do this. One of my favorite strategies, and I don't know if you use this, Ruth, but I really like the matrix, the time matrix, where you have the urgent,
Yeah,
important, not
the
important,
quarters.
urgent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anyone isn't sure what I'm talking about, I think it was it Stephen Covey? I think that kind of coined that or created that. But yeah, off the top of my head, I can't remember who it was, but it's a really great strategy. So after this, if anyone wants it, then do get in touch, because it's a fantastic way to plan out what you need to actually do. I put both hands in the air for this, because as a teacher, I would often, do the displays or the things that I would like to do. Um,
Yeah.
and the other things became, more and more time consuming, because I kicked them down the road a little bit. So yeah, really kind of deciding what goes where in your matrix is useful.
Okay, so after that section on mindset, I just want you to have a minute to reflect upon your current mindset, and is there any room for growth within it? If you want to put your answer in the chat, that's great. If you want to put a comment in the chat, that would be really appreciated. But is there any room for growth within your current mindset in terms of thinking about yourself as an ECT, thinking about the journey you're on, and thinking about the current provision that you have in your classroom too?
Yes. It might be something along the lines of just kind of not being so hard on yourself, when something goes wrong, or it could be
Yeah.
to pick up Ruth's idea of writing one positive, or, was it 3 positives a day you said, Ruth?
Yeah, just 3 a day, So maybe people want to put a positive from the day in the chat, and we can celebrate
Yes,
them all as we
brilliant.
go through at the end or something.
Absolutely. Ruth, what was your positive from today?
That so today, Monday is our staff meeting day, and we spoke about workload. And actually, there were some really nice comments in terms of um, people are happy with the changes that we've made to support workload so far. And we had some suggestions of what we could do moving forward, because that's what you always want. You always want teachers to come with you to you with solutions. But
Yes,
actually, the comments that the teachers made were really appreciative, and it's nice to see the impact of the work that we're doing at the school. So that was my positive from today.
love that. That's a great positive. We've got some in the chat that people have shared as well. Um, Someone
So
said, I'm always comparing myself to others and think I am always doing something wrong. So this is absolutely something that you can start to work on here. Thank you so much for sharing. Like, some of these might feel really vulnerable to share, so I'm really pleased that
yeah,
you're able to share this with us. It's a really difficult job, so it's really important to get these things out and to share them, and to really kind of think, okay, How do I turn it around? Not feeling guilty if I don't achieve everything on my to-do list. Yes. Oh, yes. I
I
am.
know.
It's
But
so
we're never going
hard.
to achieve anything, everything, are we? And that's like where our necessary and our nonsense tasks come in, because we have to think of the impact, don't we? And what's going to be the impact
Where
of
the
it?
grid comes in.
Yeah, exactly. And matrices are so good for this early on, aren't they? Of embedding that mindset.
I went on a lovely dog walk in the forest for some fresh air. Oh, yes. That sounds amazing. I need to stop feeling like I'm not good enough. Yes, you do, my friend. You are absolutely enough. In fact, we're going to cover that today. But yeah, really, really important to kind of question the beliefs. Tony Robbins, he's a really famous coach from the US.
Yeah.
He always says that we believe we doubt our beliefs and we believe our doubts. And I think it's such a powerful phrase. We doubt ourselves all the time, but we really kind of need to lean into that that truest of thought about ourselves. What actually should we or could we believe about ourselves that is useful to moving forwards. Exactly this. I always want to do everything perfect. Yes. I also want to know more teaching strategies. Please, can you recommend some great books for secondary school teacher? Yes, no problem at all. We can absolutely help you with that, my friend. Remembering to prioritize my list and others can wait until tomorrow. Yeah, again, that matrix, that grid, really useful for that stuff as well. Some really powerful shares there. Thank you so much. We will stick around at the end to kind of unpick anything that you have shared, but I'm conscious of time, so I'm just going to shimmy on a little bit here, Ruth. Thank
Absolutely
you so
fine.
much, guys, for sharing. This is so great.
So obviously then after mindset, we're going to move on to organization, and it's all about utilizing our time positively and effectively so that we are managing our workload successfully. From that, we're able to fulfill the responsibilities that our workload brings, but it's all about finding the balance within that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we talk about using time positively, we need to do that so that we can hit the deadlines that are given to us, because we have PPM meetings, we have PPA time, we might have parents' evening, we might have progress updates and reports to write, but everything comes with a deadline. So something that really a good habit early on is use that planner effectively. We see all these fancy planners now, don't we, all singing and dancing, all the jazzy ones, but use them, okay? They're not just for decoration, and get those dates in so that when you're planning your to-do list, you can see what's coming up and you can plan in terms of urgency, impact, and priority as well. So you're keeping ahead of the game, so to speak. When we do that, we're creating cohesion. So we're feeling more in control of the situation. And that stops us from getting that feeling of overwhelm building. The more in control we are, the less opportunity that feeling has to creep in. Because we're on top of everything, we've got an eye on the dates. We know what our deadlines are. We know our order of priority. We know the way in which we're going to do things. It means we can have a slower living, and it means, we can have slower starts in the morning, or we can wind down on an evening, because actually we're on top of everything. We know what's coming. We know what we need to do. We're in control, and ultimately that feeling of being in control underpins everything, and that comes from being organized, and that has a calming ethos on ourselves, but also in that classroom environment too.
It removes that chasing your tail feeling,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
definitely.
For any of you who are members of the Behaviour Bank, we have got plans, like planning support that you can download and print off. But also, if you are a teacher, you get free access to Canva. If you are
Yeah.
not using Canva, please do sign up. It's completely free for teachers. In fact, in the Behaviour Bank, we have got a Canvassador joining, and we'll be sharing a whole host of ways that you can use Canva to maximize your success in the classroom, because there is so much in Canva that can help with exactly this.
Yeah.
And you can print out from Canva directly plans, day plans, week plans, month plans, all sorts of things. So you don't even need to go out and buy one. You can literally print yourself off
Yeah.
sheets if you're thinking, cost effective.
Okay, so obviously from using our time wisely, we're getting on top of our workload and we're beginning to manage it more effectively. When we're looking at our workload and we're looking at tasks, we always need to think about the impact of what we're doing and the purpose. If something is of very little impact, has very little purpose, what is the point? And if if you think what's the point, take that opinion forward and go and speak to someone, because there are SLTs out there that welcome a fresh pair of eyes, and sometimes you just need a different perspective on things. So if you're querying the importance of something, somebody else will be too. So never feel afraid of that. But when we're planning our workload, think about the impact and the purpose and the importance, and that's your starting point for mapping out the way in which you're going to do things and the order in which you're going to tackle that to-do list. When we're talking about our to-do lists, we're looking at necessary and looking at nonsense tasks. Necessary are the things that you need to do, like you're going to have to fill in pupil progress data. You're going to have to fill in your registers. You're going to have to fill in your IEPs. They're the necessary things. The nonsense things, if you've got a template for some data that you need to upload, don't then do it 3 or 4 times in different formats. You only need it in one place, okay? And I think sometimes teachers we can be our own worst enemies of doing a job for the sake of creating a new job for ourselves when actually we've already got it in a different format. So always think about the impact and the purpose. Is it necessary or is it a nonsense task? On your to-do list, if you've got things that just take a couple of minutes, batch task them 15 minutes at the end of each day and save all those little things that only take 2 minutes. You can get 5 done, and it's a big chunk off your to-do list. So get into the habit of batch tasking. And when you do need to do some work at home, or when you are working through your workload after school, you're working through that to-do list, set a timer. Loads of teachers do it that I work with. We have 40 minutes uninterrupted, focused, no talking, no doom scrolling, just you and your work. And you'll be surprised actually in that 40 minutes how much you get done when you limit your distractions. It's a really good tool to use, so try it.
Absolutely. I love a timer. I find it so useful. I always put the phone in the top drawer when I when I do my timed sessions.
And because we're becoming more organised, we'll be able to fill our responsibilities to a better capacity. I've already said keep an eye on the dates and use that planner to get everything down, because that forms your to-do list, the order in which you're going to do things. Again, we're looking at the importance and the value of the tasks that we're carrying out. If you don't think it's of any value, go and speak up, go and tell somebody. Things might change. Collaboration, when you're looking at your to-do list, is there anything anybody can support you with, that you can delegate to anybody, that you could say, actually, I'll plan the English and you plan the maths, or I'll do the letter for the trip if you do the risk assessment. So I hate working smarter, not harder. I hate that term, but that's the reality of it,
Collaborating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's working together and not by isolation. It's just kind of see where you can lean into for that. And I think, as Ruth said, having that curiosity, what is the value, and asking members of SLT,
Yeah.
as a curiosity driven, because once we know the value, once we know the impact, it might shift where it is on our priority
Yeah.
list. And I think that's a
Exactly.
really important place to kind of move forward from. And we talk about being curious and not furious with the children, but actually it's with everything, isn't it? Get curious
Yeah.
about what the impact is. And once you start to kind of understand it a little bit more, I always find that I don't find it quite as a chore.
No,
If I
and
know what
that's
the
it.
benefits are. Yeah.
And when we're becoming organised, we really need to find that balance between school life and home life, the balance between the work and play. And we touched earlier on about those boundaries, but they're so important. If we're going to be successful in the classroom, we need to rest properly and we need to be happy outside of the classroom. Otherwise, we'll become tired, we'll become burnt out, and we'll actually become resentful of a job that we've trained so hard to get. So we really need to have those boundaries in place to protect our own time and to make us thrive inside the classroom too. Really good technique here is time blocking. So for an example, in my planner, I might write every Wednesday night, me time or date night or something, but I know that's me because that is my time protected. I wouldn't write in my planner staff meeting and then not go. So by putting it in the planner, we're holding ourselves to account. And actually, I know if I've got something in my planner for me, it might be gym, it might be walking or running, I'm going to hold myself to account because actually I need that time blocked out so that I can thrive mentally and physically too. And then finding that balance, we've really touched on it, that collaborative working. So sharing the load wherever possible.
Yeah. I don't know, people might think I'm a little extra. I mean, I have been accused of this on many occasions. But I even put things like I love a clean, tidy kitchen. I feel like I can't function in my day without knowing my kitchen is clean and tidy. So I have that in my calendar on a daily basis. I have a slot that says clean and tidy the kitchen. And I think if I always look into my calendar, and if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't happen. That's kind of my mindset. So everything that is needed
Yeah.
to happen goes into the calendar, whether it is, you know, an early night, whether it is me time, as you said, it's all in there. And I think it's so important to plan those as well as the other needs to do, you know, because again, it's just having you as a priority, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the key, isn't it? You know, everything that you put in your planner is a priority in your school life.
Yeah,
Why not make it your home life too?
absolutely, absolutely.
So, you know, it's exactly the same as we did for mindset. What would you rate your current organizational skills out of 10? Are you on top of everything, or is there room for improvement? Is there actually something? I wish I was a little bit more focused at that. I wish actually I could nail that. So, if there is something, just put it in the chat so we can share it.
Absolutely. What are you working on?
Mm,
Love this. An interesting fact as well, I always find is that the more you do stick to what's in your calendar, your diary, or you know, your planner, the more confident you become that it will happen.
yeah.
Again, it's that compounding, it's that practice making progress, you know. But every time you quote unquote let yourself down or like don't show up for yourself, not to add to the guilt load, guys. That's not what this is about. But you know, if you say you're going to do something for you and then you don't show up and do it for you, it's just that kind of compounding of, well, you know, that's just the way it is, or that's just the way I am, or, you know, it adds to that self-belief. So it's a really important part of building your confidence. We've got some numbers
Definitely.
come in. We've got a 7 and a 9. These are
Oh,
quite high numbers for organisation,
yeah.
guys. I like it. I like it. We've got an 8. Anyone down the other end? Anyone else thinking, oh gosh, not me. Not feeling that at the moment. I'm gonna get there one day, but it's not today. Be brave if you are feeling it. It's all good. We've got a 5. We've got a 5. It's okay to kind of just recognize where you are. It's all a journey. It's all part and parcel of or maybe less. Who knows? If it's one of those days, you might be just thinking, I don't even know what number I'm on. And if anyone is having one of those days, we're sending all the love your way. We've all been there, I'm sure. Um, you can't always be a 10, can we, Ruth?
No, and you know, every day is different, like you just said. Every day is completely different, and the mornings are different from the afternoon. So don't forget, be kind to yourself and cut yourself some slack. Sometimes that's something that we just need to do more of.
Hashtag being human.
Yeah.
Um, we just wanted to share this, and we share this a lot within our trainings. If you watch any of the others over on the YouTube channel or within the bank, you will probably see this slide more often than not. And the reason for this is everything that we do and talk about within the behavior balance system, all the resources in the bank are geared to maximizing not only your success and your professional development, but also your health and your connection with your world, because everything impacts each other. It's like a domino effect. Naturally, if we are able to be more emotionally regulated, which all of these things lead to, you know, if you're more organized, if you've got a great sense of self, if your relationships are strong, all of these things, what we're doing is we're actually creating a really healthy nervous system, a nervous system that provides really good immune support. It allows our brains to function better, and you know, all of the things are so heavily connected. So it's really important just to share this, because ultimately what we're sharing with you today and hopefully beyond, we'd love you to stick around in our world, all leads to having that really healthy, balanced life, whether it's at work or at home. Shall we have a look at actions then.
Yeah, so actions again. So the actions that we're going to carry out during our ECT years and become embedded during your teaching career all link back to the way that you're organised, which then links back to your mindset as well. The actions that we need to take, they need to be small, consistent, and intentional. They need to reflect your vision and values for yourself outside the classroom and inside of the classroom, but they also need to support the positive energy that you are bringing to the classroom and to your own life too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when we're taking action, we want that consistent action, don't we? We want to take
Yeah.
massive action, which is where you keep moving forwards until the job is done. Not the same thing over and over again. There's a definition there, but we want to keep taking action and
Definitely.
move forwards with whatever it is that we're trying to move forwards with.
So, by taking small, consistent, and intentional actions, we can ensure that we're making progress because small steps have a bigger impact. If you try to do too much too soon, it won't work out that way. You'll burn out, you'll become overwhelmed, and in that feeling, that self confidence will go, and you'll start to feel like a failure. Don't set yourself up to fail in that way. Small actions and small steps will really benefit you and it will really build your self esteem and your confidence as you move through your ECT years. So they'll ensure the progress that you make. It will ensure that it supports your sustainability as a teacher. It will prolong your teaching career as well. And it will also help you to meet those goals and targets that you set for yourself as part of your ECT years, but any personal goals and targets that you have too.
Love that. Absolutely.
And then when we're talking about how your actions reflect your vision and your values, it will support your well-being because you will have a set of values for your school life, set of vision and values for your school life, and vision and values for your home life too. So all the actions that you take, the small actions that you are taking consistently, they will support your well-being. They will support the journey that you're on. They will banish the opportunities for procrastination to creep in, and they will also stop that imposter syndrome creeping into because the small steps that you are taking are building that self-esteem, building that confidence so that you can achieve the vision that you set out to achieve and the values that you hold yourself to as well. But ultimately, it will really help you maintain your focus during your ECT years and it will help you maintain that sense of enjoyment that it's going to bring as well.
I love that. I love that. And the image here on this slide is actually a really great image because this is a power pose picture. And actually, when we do in-person trainings and things, we explore this on quite a lengthy route because this is such an important aspect of building confidence. It goes back to that physiology first. If you can get yourself in a physical position that feels strong, the signals that go to your brain, there is a science, my friends, behind everything we do. The signals that go between your brain and your body are really, really important. And your body can tell your mind that you are feeling strong and powerful. And that will shift how you are experiencing life and the emotional state that you are in. So I love this slide because I think that there's so much that we can do to make all this happen and to support ourselves.
Yeah. And the actions that you take, they will support the positivity. We've just touched on that, on the sense of enjoyment, both inside and outside the classroom. But as you progress and that confidence increases and you can see that you're having progress and you're enjoying it, the quality of your life, it will be really enhanced. And the fulfillment, the sense of fulfillment that you'll get from that will really, it'll promote your attitude towards it all because actually you'll just be happier and you'll just look for the mindset, you'll just look for the positives and everything that we've said about positive organization and actions is all underpinned by that proactive mindset and that positive mindset too. So the happier you are, the better your quality of life is because you're holding yourself to account by doing those small manageable steps repeatedly. You'll feel more fulfilled and you'll really enjoy the job that you want to do.
Yeah. And going back to that kind of connection as well of all three, you're healthier when you're happier because our immune
Exactly.
system is stronger.
Yep.
So, just kind of thinking about how you can bring those pockets of joy into your day is so, so important.
So that's that. They are the three components to success during your ECT years: the mindset, the way you're organized, and the actions that you take from having that mindset and the way in which you organize yourself. They underpin everything that you do, and it's all about building your skill set, but building your skill set inside in terms of the way you think about it all and the way you view it.
Absolutely. So what are our takeaways?
Yeah, so obviously we've covered mindset, we've covered organization and action. If you've got one thing to take away from this training, what is it going to be? What's the one thing that you might think, I'm going to give that a go, or actually I'm going to adapt that. Actually, I think I know I'm really good at this. So what am I going to build on now? What am I going to do from this training that's going to have a positive impact on myself and the classroom too?
Absolutely. You might even have more than one takeaway. You're more than welcome to share it in the
Yeah.
chat as well. What have you kind of, maybe something you found interesting, might be something that you kind of knew but have just been reminded of. What are you taking away from today? Might be a technique, time blocking. Lovely. Great. A bad lesson doesn't mean a bad day.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, but it's so easy to undo that as well.
Yes, it is. It's a bit like when you wake up in the morning, you stub your toe, and then you got your tea, and then you fall down the stairs or the last step, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, can anything else go wrong?" You know, it kind of sometimes
Yeah.
it
It escalates, it
spirals to
snowballs.
doom. Absolutely. Have we got some more in the chat there, Ruth?
Yeah, it's really nice to see these. Comparing yourself to others is the thief of joy. Yeah, that comparison. It's lovely to look at other people, it's lovely to think, oh, I might just try that, or actually they did that really well. And it's lovely to share that with other people, but actually don't let it hamper
Only
your
when you recognize it
development.
in yourself, right, Ruth?
Yes.
Recognize that they've done something wonderful and then think, okay, cool. What did I do that was wonderful? Let me kind of balance it out. We're all about balance here. Realistic tasks and not trying to do everything at once. Yes, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes to that one.
Prioritizing, allowing time for myself as well as not being too hard on myself. And I think teachers is that one of those professions where you are really hard on yourself all the time because you want the best for the children in your care and you want to do your best, but actually we just need to be good enough. And when we need to have that, we have high expectations, but sometimes just be yourself and be kind to yourself. You can only do so much.
Absolutely. And we have to remember this because they are watching. Our children are watching all of the things. And if
We
we're
need to be
there,
that model.
absolutely, if we're there kind of thinking we're not good enough and we're not doing well enough and it's never enough, our children are going to adopt that too, that they're not good
Yeah.
enough, that they're never enough, that they're not, able to do the things that they want to do. Setting time for reflection. Loved the playground walk idea. Yeah, I loved that too. I thought it was fab. Um,
Yeah.
to praise self for small wins. Absolutely. We've got some amazing takeaways there. And I think it's really important to remember this, my friends, that knowledge is just the knowing. It's the application that counts. We have that old saying of knowledge being power, but nothing is powerful when it's not applied. So if
Yeah.
you are going to take all of these things that you've learned today or that we've shared and that we've discussed, please apply them. And making your kind of application or setting your application into action needs a plan. So please do plan ahead for what you're going to do coming out of today's session. What is it that you're going to put into place so that you have that plan, so that you can then start to work through it? Because as we said, or someone said in the chat earlier, we don't want to try and do everything at once. We don't want to, have unrealistic expectations of ourselves, because that's not helpful, it's not useful, and it's certainly not kind to
No.
ourselves. So have that plan in place and celebrate your plan, because it's really important to have a next step, right?
Definitely.
Now, I am conscious of time, so I'm going to skip over the length of that plan. If I'm, oh, can I go backwards? I'm not sure if I can go backwards. Oh, I can. If you want to take a quick screenshot of that and then continue after we finish, because I'm very conscious that we've run over slightly. But I'm pleased that we've had so much engagement and discussion with everyone, which has been fab. But if you do want to take this to the next step and you do want to look more at the behaviour balance system, this approach to learning and teaching and growth, then please do get in touch with us, because we come into schools, we run in-person and online trainings for nurseries, schools. We also work with parents. We do communications and confidence coaching for children of all ages and stages. And we come in and we do consultancy with leadership teams as well. So we also have our ECT online mentorship, the Behaviour Bank, which I'm going to share a little bit about with you now. And everything that we do is all of these things. And I always share this because sometimes people wonder, is it trauma informed? Is it restorative? Is it this? Yes, the approach we use, we call the behaviour balance system. It's not just for the children, it's for the grown-ups as well. This system is absolutely all of these things for all of the people within our community. And if you would like to hear more, then we do have the Behaviour Bank. Please do check us out. You'll find so many strategies in there for everything from classroom management, behaviour support, you managing your own life and self and having that connection with other people. There really is everything that you need all in one place. And not only do you get access as an educator, but all of the parents get access to when your school gets a subscription. So if your school buys in to one of our trainings, you get access to the bank immediately anyway. But if you want the bank for your school, then do get in touch, because it gives you ongoing CPD as an educator and full access to a sleep consultant, a nutritionalist, all sorts of people for your parents too, because we are all about helping our children from a holistic perspective, aren't we, Ruth? We want to make sure that every element is covered.
Yeah, it's so important.
It is, it really is. These you are follow us, so you can follow us online, although I think lots of you found us online already, so you know where we are. We're going to stick around for a little bit of Q&A for anyone that has any questions or wants to have a chat with us. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And a huge thank you to Ruth as well for joining me tonight. I appreciate you, my friend, being here. I'm going to stop the recording now so that we can come on and chat and share anything without it being recorded. But if you're watching this on Catch Up as a recording, thank you for watching, and we hope that you found it useful.
Thank you.